Now let's take a look at some of the options that we have in managing state. Now in the previous video, what I wanted to do was show you some animations to give you an idea of what we're trying to do. We're just simply trying to correspond a request from the web server to see if it matches somebody who's been here before. And if it does, then we want to connect the dots here and make sure that we treat this user again as if they've been here before. And if there's something connected about their two visits, we want to maintain that connection. Now, as we go through this will be a little bit long and involved, and I don't want to lose you here. But understand there's a number of different ways to handle this. First of all, there's two types of state management. Then there's two choices for how we want to carry out either of those two types of state management. Then there's two choices for where we store our state management information. So let's kind of dig into each one of these, and then I'm going to talk about pros and cons on them. First of all, the two types of state management. There's in process and out of process. And let me explain these briefly. With in process, the cookies that we maintain on our side that we're going to connect. Notice, if you remember, a client makes a request, and when we send something back, we create a cookie, we put it on our machine, then we record it on their machine, right? And then when they come back again, they pass that cookie, and we check, and if we have that cookie, then we know they've been here before. And we can use this cookie to connect us to more information that we've saved, and we use this kind of as a pointer to get more information and to create a more dynamic, interactive user experience. Now, if it's in process, that means it's in the same memory area as the web page that's running or the web application. If it's out of process, then it means that we are storing the state management on our side out on a different server or a different database. And there's advantages and disadvantages of those, and we'll talk about those in just a second. Now, there's two choices for the methodology. We can either use cookies. We'll talk about cookies in a separate video. There's a whole bunch of stuff about cookies that I want to talk to you about. Or we can use a new technology in ASP.NET that's called cookieless state management. And this is pretty cool. Anyway, we'll do a video on that a little bit later on too. Now, two choices for where we store these things. First of all, we can store them on the client, or we can store them on the server side. And there's definite advantages and disadvantages to those as well. So let's go through some of these advantages and disadvantages and talk about them. On in process, if I'm going to store them in the same process as my web application, then that's cool in some ways. This is the default in ASP.NET. If you've never messed with any kind of settings on your state management, then you're doing in process. It's fast and it's efficient since it's in the same memory fence, if you want to think of it that way. It can write the stuff and grab it and check it quickly. It's less administrative effort because it's the default. Okay, but there are some problems with it. First of all, it limits scalability, and your state management information can get lost on server failure. Picture this. If we've got this server and we're storing this stuff locally in the same memory space as our web application, and our web application or our server fails, notice all our state information went with it, which means everybody who was in the process of buying something or the process of something else that we needed state for, they'll have to start over because the next time they hit the web server, they're seen as a new person and they won't be connected back to the other stuff they were doing. Also, what if we need to create a web farm? Let's say our website grows, and so we want to implement multiple servers, and this is called a web farm. If we're maintaining it in process for the web app, then the web app's going to be on one server, and the other servers aren't going to be able to see it, so we can't scale out that way. And so that's going to be another issue. Now, there's a myriad of ways around this, and so I can hear some of you folks, yelling the names of products and so forth. But for this course, let's keep it as simple as we can here.